we're developing a society because of all of these different toxins known to affect brain function. We're seeing a society that not only has a lot more people of lower IQ, but a lot fewer people of higher IQ. In other words, a dumbing down, a chemical dumbing down of society. So everyone's sort of mediocre. That leaves them dependent on government because they can't excel. We have these people of lower IQ who are totally dependent. Then we have this mass of people who are going to believe anything they're told because they can't really think clearly. And very few people of very high IQ who have good cognitive function who can figure this all out. And that's what they want. So, you can kind of piece it together as to why they are so insistent in spending so many hundreds of millions of dollars of propaganda money to dumb down society.
You might want to ask yourself why the entire culture is utterly saturated with mass media entertainment from all sides, while the educational system in America continues its stupefying downward slide since the U.S. government decided to take over and subsidize the public school system.
What your government pays for, it gets. When we understand that, then we look at government-financed institutions of education, and turned out by these government-financed schools, logic will tell you that if what is being turned out in those schools was not in accord with what the state and the federal government wanted, then it would change it. The bottom line is that the government is getting what they have ordered. They do not want your children to be educated. They do not want you to think too much. That is why our country and our world has become so proliferated with entertainments, mass media, television shows, amusement parks, drugs, alcohol, and every kind of entertainment that keep the human mind entertained, so that you don't get in the way of important people by doing too much thinking. You had better wake up and understand that there are people who are guiding your life and you don't even know it.
We're in a lot of trouble because you people and 62 million other Americans are listening to me right now, because less than 3% of you people read books. Because the only truth you know is what you get over this tube. Right now, there is an entire generation that never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube. This tube is the gospel, the ultimate revelation. This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it all falls in the hands of the wrong people. And when the largest company in the world controls the most awesome goddamn propaganda force in the whole godless world, who knows what shit will be made up for truth on this network. So you listen to me. Listen to me. Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. But you people sit there day after day, night after night, full ages. We're all you know. You're beginning to believe illusions. You're beginning to think that the tube is reality and that your own lives are unreal. You do whatever the tube tells you. You dress like the tube. You eat like the tube. You raise your children like the tube. You even think like the tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion.
Is now the ultimate power in the universe.
What's good people? What's good? It's your boy Fleet Jones in the place. And yes, we got an early show. A few things to discuss, talk about. And I know I played a couple clips for you all to kind of listen to, and they go along with, the topic at hand. And the topic at hand is, are we being dumbed down from technology? That is the key question. Because I just want to know, we got smartphones, watches, everything smart TVs, everything smart. And just recently, I just thought about it. Like, I've been really wanting to wear like my smartwatch. I got like a Samsung smartwatch. I haven't been wearing it for a while because I always forget to charge it. So then I finally charged it up. I put it on. I don't look at it throughout the entire day. I look at my phone, but I don't look at it. So to me, it's just like dead weight on my arm, on my wrist. I don't really use it to tell time. I can just look at my phone. I do that, and I got a smartphone too. But that is what I use. So with that just in mind, how much of these smart devices really helping us, and that's just something that just gets me. I just had a conversation. I went out and I had a conversation with this gentleman, and just a simple conversation as far as like using maps. Like now, I just put it on my phone. I Google Maps, everything. Before that, we have to go online and print out MapQuest. We print out that paper and we just read that. But even before that, there were maps that we all used. Now today, I wonder, do we even know how to use those same maps? Do our children know how to use those same maps? Are we being dumbed down by all this technology? And it's a reason for it. Like one of the clips said, they don't want you to think. Is this true? Well, today we have a special guest. And big ace in the hole. I can't even say ace of space. He's just a bunch of aces. Ace in business, has a tech company, really into the technology himself. Ace, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yes. Now we know that you're big in the tech industry, have a couple companies. Do you feel that technology is dumbing us down?
I'll tell you what, that is a really, really good question for somebody that's in tech, because when you work in tech, it makes everything that you do faster. Back in the day, people had to go search for information, right? They had to go to an encyclopedia, right? They had to go to the index in the back of the book. They had to search for what the index was, and then they were able to find it wherever it was in the book. Nowadays, you just have Wikipedia. You just go to the Wikipedia search bar, you put in whatever you want to search, and then boom, it's there. So tech, the way I see it, it has speeded up simple processes that we used to do, but at the same time, since everything's so fast now, it's like, can you actually keep up with all the information that's coming out?
Okay. Well, since I'm kind of into the sciences and psychology, I kind of want to go over just a couple things. There's what is called fluid, and then there's what is called fluid knowledge, and then what is called crystallized knowledge. So I would say the fluid knowledge is kind of like what you acquire, the ability to acquire and process information. Kind of like if you think of a computer, it's kind of like RAM and speed. The more you have, the faster it is. the better, or those new problem solvers. And I would say the crystallized knowledge is kind of what you know already, or like that wisdom. So with just those two things, does that fit into the tech? Like, for example, like I do this a lot. When I want to make a recipe, I don't know. But guess what? I know how to get to that information. I can go on YouTube, look up a recipe, and get to that. Now, that's technology. Now, is that dumbing us down because we don't have to memorize it? Or just having a catalog of space helping us out?
Now, one of the things that I will say to that point would be technically we are being dumbed down because we don't have to memorize all that information. If you think about it back in the day, it's like the example you just brought up. Say you're looking up a recipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, all you have to do is go to Google and, hey, chicken pot pie recipe, boom, there it is. You know what I mean? There it is,
Mm-hmm.
right for you in different forms and different methods. But back in the day, what they used to have to do was, if there was a chicken pot pie recipe, there was hardly any cookbooks back in the day. First of all, if you think all the way back to the 1900s, were they writing out long cookbooks with pictures? And they probably never even had that stuff yet. So back in the day, you had to remember how to actually do it. It was passed down through families. You know what I mean? Like you learned it from your mom. You learned it from your dad how to make that chicken pot pie recipe. But nowadays, it's like you have unlimited options of chicken pot pie recipes at your arsenal, but it's not going to be like you're going to remember it. Now, some people do actually take the time to memorize or remember it because they're like, oh, I want this to be my chicken pot pie recipe. I want to put my own spin on it. But how often does that actually happen? How often?
You put it in that perspective, it's kind of like, that brings that personal relationship, that relatable relationship. Something's passed down, you communicate. Thanksgiving just passed. How many people actually call their loved ones? Most people just sent a text, hey, happy Thanksgiving. Like if you was not around them. They just mostly text and when they really call. Same thing. So no passing down. Now, I can say technology has, pushed us apart. Be in the same household instead of just going up and say, hey, come on down and help me out. You're going to send a text, hey, come on down. Won't even yell. They don't even yell anymore. Throughout the house, hey, I don't even do that anymore.
Exactly.
So
that's another good example is text messaging. So I even remember growing up as a kid because there was this was back when you had the phone where it was, it had a dial tone, it was in your house, and you had to pick it up, call, press the numbers, call somebody, and usually you're not going to be calling somebody else in the same house unless your house is a mansion or something like that. I could imagine like the super rich people that have a mansion, they would have some kind of call system in their house to, communicate with each other. But even nowadays in apartments, you'll see people, especially kids that are in college or kids that are not yet in college, still in high school, and people that have even graduated. Mostly people in the millennial and Gen X generations, they would rather send a text message or even send a Snapchat because Snapchat is the one that has the pictures you can send back and forth.
Yep.
So they'd rather send a picture of something to somebody else. We can go back to the example of food. They'd rather send a picture of their pizza than actually come and bring the pizza to somebody else in their apartment, which is only like 20 feet away. You know what I mean? So technology has increased laziness, and it has also dumbed us down a little bit at the same time.
That depends.
It's interesting how it's done.
We're dependent on it now. Like, can someone go maybe 2 days just without any technology? Yeah, they can, but how hard would it be? It'll be very hard.
Probably not.
Actually, I urge some of your listeners, I would like you to just fast. Everybody want to do fast. Oh, I'm going to be vegan. I want to do this fast. And do this. Fast from technology. Let's see how you do. Fast from that. And now, I mean, of course, some people may go to work. They have to use computers or what have you. But on your days off, just fast. Fast from that. 2 days. You know, the new thing is intermittent fasting. Intermittent fast from technology. Let's do that. Not while you sleep. But, oh, I just want 8 hours without. Yeah, you were asleep. Technically, you probably use that because you probably slept with your smartwatch on. That count as your sleeping patterns. Don't even do that.
Exactly.
So since this is dumbing us down, making us dependent and lazy, and all of the above, is there a need to go to college and get like post education after high school?
And that's
Is there?
the question. That is currently the $1 million question. Do we really need a college education nowadays? Now, I will say the answer to that is it depends, because there are some majors that do require, say, a college degree. So say if you're going into the medical field,
Yeah,
become a
definitely.
doctor, to become a nurse.
Nurse.
The school that I went to was predominantly a nursing school, so I knew a lot of different nurses. And what they did was they had the nursing classes, but at the same time, they also went to nursing clinicals because the school had an association with multiple hospitals. So hands-on, hands-on participation within something like that, you really, because you're saving lives. And then even other professions, such as you want to become a lawyer, you're probably going to need a college education to, first of all, get the degree, and second of all, take that test. That test is very, very difficult. And then there's other majors that require college degrees as well. But if we look at the majority of college education degrees, say business, do you really need to get a business degree? Are you really going to learn from teachers what you need to do in business? And the contrary to that is most of the teachers that teach business are not even business owners. So there's really a breakdown in that sector of college. But there's other sectors that you need it. There's other sectors that you don't need it. It all depends on your major.
Like, here's a sector. What's marketing? People get degrees in marketing. What is that, really? They're teaching you how to be creative? Like, because that's what anybody can market. Anybody can just have a creative idea, put it out there. It works or it don't works. But what is marketing? People have marketing degrees, and like, what do they don't go to like clinicals or nothing like that like these doctors do. What do they go do as, like, you know, the clinical or the company associated work or experience? Another degree.
So my experience because I actually got a marketing degree. I got a marketing and a management degree. And in my experience with both of the business degrees, I'll tell you this. What they tell you to do, it's the same kind of thing, because I know you've heard of, they say in college you have to take an internship before you graduate.
Yeah.
So with that internship, it all depends. It's as long as you have a job that's in that field, if it's in the marketing field or if it's in the business field in general, you'll get that internship taken care of. But at the same time, are those teachers directly teaching you the skills that you'll need to know for that sector in business, whether it be management, whether it be marketing? Are you going to know the things that you need to know to be able to make a living, to pay the bills, to take care of your family in the future? And I can say, after graduating school with both of those degrees, I can say yes and no. Yes, because the degree will get you in the door of certain companies, because a lot of companies nowadays, they still have that stigma of, oh, you need a college degree to work for us, right? I just saw, I think it was last weekend, Google, Apple, and Amazon no longer require college degrees for any of their jobs that they have available. None of their jobs. They stopped requiring, especially the higher up jobs. It's very interesting that they did that.
Google is mass hiring like crazy. They're doing some type of expansion. Yeah, because I think they purchased they made a big purchase. I think they got them like a D-Wave computer too, one of those. So I know they're going to need a lot of people for that technology.
Absolutely.
But with college, I think that because we know like those major degrees, doctors, nursing, those people that go for that, they're in that. But all these other degrees, people go and then they just get a regular job. They have a degree and they're outside their field, and that's kind of like the average thing that's going on right now. Because I'm definitely not in my major or degree. I'm not using that at all. Just dead weight. I just got something. But I would say that it is great because you are getting experience. Because for me, when I'm around different cultures, different ethnic groups, and I'm learning how other people do things. I'm networking. I would say that that's probably the biggest thing now, is just being able to network, make friends, build ideas, grow into yourself, find your market, and find kind of what you want to do. And I think I'd say what 50%, 60% of people probably change their majors when they do go. People don't want to go. It was like a boom. People just marketing colleges, and guess what people did? They went. They went. So, is it good? Is it bad? Is it for you? It just depends on who you are and the things that you want to do. Because who's to say that?
That's a great example that you just brought up with companies not requiring the degrees anymore. They're starting to do that because there's a new trend that I've seen happening, and I'm sure you guys have seen it too, is more people are starting their careers. Instead of starting it when they graduate college, they're starting their career when they graduate high school. So instead of being 4 years behind, they're 4 years ahead of where most of the people, most of the millennial, most of the Gen X generation or Gen Z generation, as Gen X is a little bit older than the millennials. But like the newer generations are doing, they're starting their careers and even younger, because I've heard of companies like tech companies that hire coders, right? And these coders will have coding since they were 13 years old, 14 years old, because they're super, super young. And they already have, because if you're 13 if you start at 13, you're 18, you already have 5 years of coding under your belt compared to somebody that just graduated school or college with a computer science degree, and they only have 4 years of coding, maybe even less. Maybe they did general education classes in their college for a year or 2 years. You know what I mean? They might have even less experience. So now it's more dependent upon, like, the piece of paper. The degree still has a value, but it's like the stock market. The degree value is slowly going down, and experience and technical value is rising very, very quickly. It's like the difference between Bitcoin and the stock market. Like, Bitcoin shot up really, really quickly. The stock market is still, consistent and moving back and forth. So the option is, I'm not sure what to tell people nowadays. For certain things, I'm like, oh, you want to start a business? Start your business as soon as possible when you turn 18 and you're legally available to do it. Why not? You never know what you're going to do, and you never know what you're going to make. And all the mistakes that you're going to make at a younger age are mistakes that I made when I was 22, 23 years old.
Exactly. And this is the
4 years ahead.
4 years ahead. And not only that, because just think about this. If someone came out of high school and they already had their business established, just say they started their junior year. 2 years in, now you're about to go to college, they gain more experience. Guess what you have access to? You have access to money, loans. So now you can get, now this is what, here's some secrets. If you're young and you start a business, or just secrets about just an individual, say African American, the most amount of money probably in their lifetime alone, depending on, say, middle class, they probably get as a personal loan, probably about $20,000. Business loans, they get a little bit more. But when you're in when you're in school, yes, you have to pay for school. If you're smart enough, you get a full ride. But you have easy access to just more than just that $20,000 loan. Now, just say you get your business and you're smart with your money. Get a loan to cover, your room and board, books, but have enough over to refinance and put into your business and flip that, and that allow your business to grow while you're still acquiring knowledge at the same time. Now, this is something that should be taught. This is some things that should be taught to the younger generation that's going to school. Yes, yeah, we know you don't probably know what you want to do, but guess what? We know that you want to make what? Money.
Exactly.
So put yourself in a position to do that early. Now you have an investor, the so-called college, or you can just do the traditional way, go to the bank, get your business loan, do all of that other stuff. But when you go to college, that's kind of guaranteed. You're guaranteed to get that financial aid and other stuff. So
It's good that you just brought up financial aid, because that's one of the huge questions about college that is never brought up in high school. I don't remember one time even thinking about financial aid when I first went to college, because it was introduced when you first signed the contract, or when you first register for a school, you're trying to register for classes, and they're like, oh, this is how much the classes are. This is the amount of FAFSA you'll get. So that's the initial plan of financial aid. But then there's also the private loans that you can get to cover whatever costs that aren't covered by scholarship or grants or whatever else you may have.
Mm-hmm.
So with that question, it's to think about, like, okay, is this nursing degree, and even for the bigger degrees, the doctorate degrees, the master's degrees, the undergraduate degrees for different majors. So let's go down the route of nursing again, because that's what I know probably the best. So say you go to school and it's $40,000 a year for school, you get no scholarship. I mean, you get the $5,000 grant that hopefully everybody still gets that. I'm not even sure if everybody still gets that, but you're paying $35,000 a year. Now, when you go to school, you don't even think about that. All you're thinking about is getting through these classes, partying on the weekends, having a good time, and just getting the grades that you need to get your degree. That's what you're thinking about when you're in college. You're not actually thinking about the dollar amount of each class that you go to. This is something that I wish I would have thought about, because there were times where you wake up in the morning and you don't want to go to class. You're tired the night before. You might have been partying out on a weekday. You're tired. You don't feel like going to class. But if you really think about it, in terms of especially people that are paying loans now after the fact, because after that 6 months after you graduate, you're gonna have to pay some loans. You're gonna have to pay something back.
Yeah.
So thinking back from all those classes that you might have missed, you're thinking like, man, that was literally dollars sitting in the classroom on your desk that you never picked those. You never got that off your desk. You never got that education from the teacher.
Yeah.
Now, it also does depend on how valuable that was, but at the same time, that's one thing that people don't think about is the loans coming out after, because even you can say as a doctor you'll make, or as a nurse you'll make $70,000 a year. Right? You could say that.
Yeah.
$60,000 to $70,000 a year, I think is the range. But at the same time, if you've gone to school for 4 to 5 years and you add up that $35,000 each year, that 2 years already outweighs what your first initial yearly salary is going to be.
Exactly.
This is something that I think they need to really be bringing up as you're sitting in front of that counselor for the first time, as you're registering for classes, as you go into what major you're doing. You need to know the financial responsibility aspect of it, because you don't think about it then, you're gonna be forced to think about it in the future. And in the future, you're gonna be, who knows? When you graduate college, you might have a girlfriend, you might want to get married, you might want to get a house, but at the same time, you can't even get that house because you already have a mortgage. That's the way I see a college loan. It's like it's already a mortgage, and it's not like you can go bankrupt on it either. You have to pay that loan back.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Well, that's what people think, though. I don't want to get into the science of not paying it back, but there is a way to. I won't say get rid of it, but settle that amount out. Say if it's $70,000, you can settle that amount out. And I know that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother story. But do you think grades matter when you're in college? So for that person, hey, I got a 4.0 in college, and that person say, I got my degree, I got all C's. Does that matter?
And that's another interesting topic right there, because from my experience in the workforce and all the different types of jobs that I've seen, because I have a tech business, but I've also worked in sales, in management, in marketing. And from what I've seen, did any of those employers ask for my grade point average? And I can say that not one of them did. Not one of them asked for it. And
But does that matter? Like, he has straight A's, you had straight C's. Is he better than you? Y'all still got the same paper. He probably just had a different, little extra roll on his thing across graduation. But does that make a difference in the workforce?
you would think that it would make a difference in different professions, because I know for medical professions, they require different, like the grading scale is different. It'll go from, because a normal grading scale would be 100 is an A plus, a 90 is an A, 50 or not a 50, an 80 is a B, a 70 is a C. You know what I mean? That type of grading scale. But in other majors, they might change that grading scale to where it'll be 100 is an A plus, a 95 is an A, a 90 is a B plus. You know what I mean? Like, they move the grading scale to where people have to be more excellent. And if you fail, say, a few classes, they'll automatically kick you out of the program. You get no refund. So that's where people will take it more seriously. But at the same time, does all A's or all B's actually make a difference when somebody goes into workforce? And for what I've seen, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Because people can come out of school book smart, but they won't come out of school experience smart, or street smart, as people like to call it. And in life,
I hate those book smart
to be
people.
successful, you got to have both of those.
Yeah. You got to have the streets. You got to know your way around. It's like, I hate those. I guess I hate them, but still, book smart people, they just know everything. I don't care what year something happened. They just know, this happened, and they have a reason. Then they have just a whole conversation to themselves about it. I'm like, whoa, it's a lot of stuff. What are you doing with it, though? All that knowledge. Nothing. Nothing. I just know it. But you're not practicing. But
exactly. It's like the best example that you can bring up is a basketball player, right? A basketball player can go in the gym 7 days a week and practice his free throws, 100 free throws, 200 free throws a day, and make every single free throw, right? He can do that. But is that where it counts? Like, that's what the book smart says. You can read a book 100 times a day. You can read hundreds of pages a day. But if you don't go out in that game and perform and hit that same exact free throw shot in the game where it matters, and if you don't take that knowledge that you had from the book and use it, monetize it, or help other people with it, then what actually are you doing?
And that's that fluid knowledge and crystal knowledge. That works on every level. Works on every single level. Streets, smarts, every single thing. We touched on some pretty good things today. Technology is making us dependent of it, and making us lazy, and things of that nature. And college, it's good to go just to have that experience, just to say that, hey, guess what? I accomplished something. But if you don't have that right major, guess what? It's a bad investment. A very bad investment. So, for the people out there, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. It's your boy Flea Jones, guest host, Ace. He's an ace everywhere. Ace in business, ace with the street knowledge. Thank you for coming, though. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And, we're about to get up out of here. Straight up talk.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
And as I say in part 10, the sky's the limit. And we're going to continue to go straight up.